DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Ahead of the weekend's sport, who better to have a good old yarn about it all than old Blighty himself? How many years have you been supporting West Ham now, mate? 80? 90?
Almost 60.
60? Did they give you anything at the end of that? Did they send you a pennant or a plaque or something and say, for loyal service rendered?
You get a sympathy card.
Have you ever during any of that time ever thought, that's it, I'm over this, I'm sick of you being in my life, you know, you've lasted longer than any other relationship, you've sent me to places I don't want to go, I don't need you anymore?
Every time you lose at home. Like, honestly, the amount I've lost count, the amount of times we used to be there at the old Berlin ground at Upton Park, and at the end of the game, losing 2-0 at home to Birmingham or something, you go, right, that's the last time I'm ever going to come and watch this Boney and Drap. It's, we all agree. Next week, all right, lads, I think we might get a win today. It's delusional, absolutely delusional. Yeah. It's like falling in with some, it's unrequited love.
Yes,
you know, like you're still going along like a little puppy, thinking that one day they're going to love you back, but they never do.
And also, you know that the day that you do walk out, they're going to turn around and they're going to do something spectacular, and you're not going to be there to see it, just to spite you, is what they're going to do, aren't they? Because that's what women do.
I went up, God blimey, years ago now, 40 years ago, probably up to Bury in the League Cup.
Bury?
Round of the League
Where's
Cup,
that?
Yeah. They're no longer just not far from Manchester, but we won 2-1 up there. And I went back, the next leg was at home. And my brother-in-law and sister just moved in next door to me. And they wanted to decorate the place. So I thought, I'll help them decorate now because they, need to get up and running. They've got a baby. I won't go to the home game. We won 10-0. Like, even to this day, I'll get messages from my mates who went, do you remember that game, Miles? No, you didn't go, did you?
That's right. So, and didn't you at one stage decide that rather than actually save your marriage, you went up to Middlesbrough on a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
There was two, actually. It was Sunderland. I had to go via Middlesbrough and then hire a car to get back. But anyway, that's beside the point. But there was another one as well when I had a massive argument with her indoors. She ended up going to spend the night with her mum's, and she came back all contrite in the morning. As she was walking up to the house, I was walking down and said, sorry, love, I'll have to see you later. I'm going down to Brighton. We're at the Goldstone ground, so yeah.
All right, let's talk about matchups tonight. And we've got the All Whites kicking off against Fiji, followed by the Waz Roosters. I have no doubt at all that the All Whites are going to be playing here in Auckland. I'm going to that game on Monday against either Tahiti or New Caledonia. We've got a great squad, we've got a great side, and also they're not complacent. They aren't going to bottle this. I
don't think they will bottle it, no. But it's interesting. I think they've got the better of the semi-final draws, if there's such a thing, because I think Fiji are the weakest of the four sides that are left in. New Caledonia have turned them over before.
Yeah,
I was up in the Solomons, 2012, when New Caledonia beat them, and they're capable of springing an upset, but with such a prize up for grabs and home advantage, I just cannot see it. I'm interested to see how much of a crowd turns up, to be perfectly honest, down here in Wellington tonight, because I've seen ads everywhere. I mean, I'm on Twitter or X or whatever all the time, and every other ad is come to watch history made and all this cobblers.
Yeah.
But is it going to have an impact, or are they getting desperate because they haven't sold any tickets?
I think that it's not quite the same as, that 82, well, never like that, but also 2010 when Bahrain, well, I mean, that was a real, are we going to beat this? And you were over there, obviously, in Bahrain, and you went to that game, and that was real touch and go. I think that because, and no disrespect to the opposition, but the standard of, we're so expected to win these games, that's probably got something to do with it. But I certainly hope Monday, if we make the final, we should make the final against whoever it is, that it should be a good turnout. I'm hoping for 25,000 at Eden Park.
I would like to think so, because that's the, the maman critique, as they say in Belle, France, because whoever wins that goes to the World Cup.
Direct entry.
Just a warm-up one down here, and I can't see a massive crowd turning up, but hey, I could be surprised. I mean, football's on a bit of a high at the moment.
Absolutely. All right, Waz tonight against the Roosters, and both teams having fantastic wins last week. Look, I think that everyone was surprised by the 36-16 scoreline against Manly. But then if you watch the game straight afterwards, if you'd doubled up and had money on the Warriors and the Roosters, mate, well, you'd be shouting me pints from the Bahamas at the moment.
Well, no, I'd be in Rio probably. But okay. Yeah, I get the sentiment that you're putting in there. It's so hard, isn't it? Because now, after the first week, they get pound, you think, oh, blimey, here we go again. Then they bring that one out of the bag against the Seagulls. Now we're sort of up again, going, oh, are we setting ourselves up for another knee to the gulags?
I hope not.
No, so I actually was really impressed with that performance last week. I like Metcalf. I like Harris Tavita. I think he's a real gutsy little thing for not that bigger player. RTS is backfiring. Yeah, there's no reason why they can't go on and win. And I think they need to be honest, to sort of, get the momentum and the sort of optimism of the fans, keep it going, rather than just titillate and get one little win and then, boom, drop them down again the next week.
Obviously, there's also Super Rugby tonight. MP playing the Chiefs at Pukekohe, so you're going to have to be switching from channel to channel. It's a shame that game wasn't in Tonga. They couldn't get the ground. There's some logistics problems there, lighting and so forth. But the Super Rugby match of the round is our Crusaders. And since when have we ever said that, up against the Blues at Eden Park? Who is not on the Crusaders train right now?
Well, you aren't, because you're a Blues fan, which you've been outed for years.
You keep saying
jumping on that particular
bandwagon. I'm on Rob Penny's.
Isn't it funny, mate? You were like last year's final, Blues. Now, as soon as they lose a couple of games, typical of a Man United fan, lose a couple of games,
scarping, mate.
And they switch sides.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Wellingtonian. I've been down to Lancaster Park in the old days, watching Wellington, watching the Hurricanes, and being rabid anti-Canterbury. But for some reason, in this one, I like Rob Penny.
Yep.
I like Razor before it. And having spent 17 years in Auckland, I've got this antipathy towards them now. And I want them, now that they're on the way down, I want a little bit of crushing, rub their face in the dirt. I will be supporting the molesters of sheep on the big one.
Look, I think that it's not the end of the Blue season, but it's just about the end of the season. It's interesting to me that Dalton Papali'i came out during the week, mate, and he said that he effectively said we just got to make that top six. If they go 1-5, that's going to be a battle anyway. I think that if the Crusaders win this game, confidence is such a big thing, isn't it? That's going to absolutely spur that Christchurch side or the old Canterbury side on from there. And I also just wonder how much it's going to take out of the Blues if they lose yet another game. Because it's easy to say, hey, 1-5, we can come back from this. But you saw from the Crusaders last year, every week we're all expecting them, oh, God, they're going to play like the Crusaders again. They're going to play like the Crusaders. Are we substituting that word for Blues and say we expect them to play like that, but they're just not going to play like that?
Well, I mean, it's like an inverse or reverse of last season, isn't it? With the Blues, rampant last year and down this year, and totally the opposite for the Crusaders. For me, I'm looking forward to. I think you got some of the most sort of potent wings on display, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them going. And it's quite interesting, with Sevu Reece, Talia, but. Interesting to see that old Macca Springer has got dropped to the bench. It reminded me actually of, I think it was a test match, old David Lloyd. I think he was playing for Yorkshire actually. He's a Lancastrian. No, when he played a test match and he replaced Boycott and he scored a ton and Boycott came back in the next game.
You probably would though, wouldn't you? Because, if Boycott was injured, you'd always probably pick him. I think that's what Rob Penny does. I think he's a bit like Ray's, a bit like Shag. If you're the incumbent and you get injured, when you are back from your injury, you do get a chance to play again. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Springer.
He's played really well for that. And I suppose it's just one of those things, isn't it? That you look at it and from the outside, you look at it straight away and think, well, 5 tries has got to be in for next week. Yeah. But sport's not like that.
World Rugby rankings, and they came out on Monday, and I can't understand the point system that World Rugby used, but I think most of us actually appreciate international rugby enough. If you're watching the Six Nations, you watch the Autumn Internationals, South Africa at number 1, that's no question. I think France and New Zealand, there's arguments that either could be 2, and France beat us last year, so maybe that inches them ahead. I don't have Ireland at 3. I mean, I don't see how they can be ahead of France.
You can't if you've already got 3 sides in front of them.
Well, but also, but they lost, but they got dicked by France by 40.
Yeah, no. But you said South Africa top. Then you said France and New Zealand. That's 3 teams.
Yeah.
So Ireland cannot possibly be
but World Rugby's got them at 3. World Rugby's got Ireland at 3, France at 4. I don't get that.
Never. No, France have got to. I think I'm 100% with you. I think it's a toss up. Maybe whoever's at home between the All Blacks and France get that number 2 spot. Then I put Ireland. Then I put England, and the rest.
Yeah. So England were behind. England were behind Argentina in their rankings, but I would elevate you lot. I would elevate you lot into 5. Given the fact that you only lost to France in the Six Nations, and there's absolute improvement there.
We beat France in the Six
Sorry, you beat France. So you lost to Ireland. I mean, okay, you lost. You're the only team that beat France. Yeah. So, but I'd have you at 5, and I'd have the Argies at 6. So it's just a slight adjustment, but I think this is important. If they keep putting their rankings out, put them in the order that most of us are actually thinking that they should be.
Well, I mean, who knows what they're doing when they're sipping on their pink gins when they make these things up.
Slapping each other with feather dusters.
All I'd say is that do the rankings really mean anything? You look at South Africa top. I suppose we can just about agree. But don't forget, in that last World Cup, they won their last 3 games by 1 point.
I know.
And the one against England in the semi-final.
Oh, a dodgy penalty, mate.
It could have gone either way. I actually thought it was an England penalty.
Yeah, I did too. I was watching it.
And they win by a point.
I was actually watching. I remember watching that game, mate, and jumping up at that stage, thinking, "God, England have knocked them out. We're going to play England in the final." Oh, hang on a second.
You would have killed us as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. And there was like, hang on a second. It's a South African penalty. What? How did he? Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, they got over the line, but does that make them that much better? On the day you've got to get across the line.
They did get over the line,
and they did, and they've done it since as well. So you've got to give them credit. But it is, as they say in the old chestnut way, a matter of degrees.
NRL, you're 0-2, mate.
Now,
how's that season going?
To another subject.
Yeah, I know. NRL.
No, next year is our year for the Dragons.
Okay.
What I do want to talk about, though, is Thomas Tuchel picked his first side since becoming England manager.
Yep, England's
And
club.
I was looking forward to some really sort of attack-minded, change from the boring days of Gareth Southgate. And he's gone and picked Jordan Henderson, who's 34 years old, who's been in the wilderness in Saudi Arabia, now gone to Holland. There's so much talent in the midfield talent in England.
Well, why didn't they pick them?
What on earth is he doing? The only thing I can assume is that Jordan Henderson's got the old dodgy photographs of Tuchel with some woman that's not his wife, because it just makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, you would have thought that after Gareth Southgate that he's got to move on into a different style of play for a start, and B, just instilling some confidence, because even at the Euros, look, this is the argument, isn't it? Everyone points to, look at Southgate's record. He got you to the final. He got you to the final. Sure, and that's on paper, but when you actually dig deeper into it, that wasn't an England side that played with any flair or any confidence, given the players that you've got.
Exactly. Well, you could say that Sam Allardyce has got a 100% record as England manager, albeit only one game, albeit a goal in the last minute.
Well, how the hell did that dodgy unit ever get the job, mate?
Maybe he bribed his way in like he did everything else. But it's frustrating, and I know a lot of people wanted Morgan Gibbs-White to be in there. He's been playing brilliantly for Forest.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
And now, apparently, he's got the call-up.
Okay. All right. Are these matches? So what do you?
He's run him and brought him in. But
so what's going? We've got qualifiers to go to the Euros, haven't we? We've got is it the Nations League?
World Cup. There's Nations League quarterfinals and there's World Cup qualifiers, I think, coming up. And
right. Okay.
To be honest,
hard to keep up with.
There's too many. You and I agree. Yeah, me too. There's too many international breaks. The season gets going. Especially at the beginning of the year, September, October, November. It's like every other week it seems to be stopping.
Yep.
Then you get a weekend off for the early rounds of the FA Cup.
Yeah, you're right.
We get knocked out early. I've only seen West Ham twice in the last 2 months, which is probably a blessing.
So I was just going to say, I was just thinking about United. I was thinking it's a blessing. All right, let's just end, though, on the Geordies, though. After 70 years, they finally win a trophy, mate. And you were there right through that period. 74, they lost to Liverpool in the Cup. 76, they lost the League Cup to Man City. They lost in the 90s consecutive years in the FA Cup. They can't win a bloody game. at down at Old Wembley. Yet they won against Liverpool, and they're acting as though they've actually, this is it. This is the big turn. I suppose when you haven't won anything for 70 years, good on them.
Yeah, no, exactly, and they should be allowed to enjoy it. And they've had great support, no matter how rubbish they've been. They always get 50,000 there at St James's Park. And I was just thinking the other day that was where I was over 40 years ago now when they threw a petrol bomb.
They threw a petrol bomb at you. Well,
really,
they were warming you up. It was cold.
3 yards in front of me, and I shouldn't feel any warmth or kindness towards them, but I did, and as a fan, if you've been struggling, you relate to other fans that are struggling, that have been through a long period without winning anything. So when they do, and especially when they beat a side like Liverpool,
exactly, mate.
A, win a lot of stuff, and B, have got obnoxious fans, then you do support the underdog and you feel happy for it.
No question. Have a great weekend.
You too, Sam.
DSPN.